this body. And by me not putting those food in my body ever again, as my blood work shows, and now I've got my 100 markers back and they're perfect. I'm 63 this month. And now everything about the tweak I did with the blood company in 2 weeks has got my 100 markers perfect for my age. I don't need anything, but they told me exactly what I needed, what I didn't need. Only gave me what I needed, and I started indulging that within it's actually under 2 weeks. I had like a breakthrough last Monday again in the way I felt in my workouts. Something was different. And I love the fact that I can get tested and get checked for almost nothing and know exactly what I need. And when you do that, you pinpoint a plan of action. And anytime you can come after your health with pinpoint accuracy, I think you can heal your body. And I know that's what I've done in my the 7th, whatever day that was last week. That marked the 22nd year since I hadn't had any medicines. No medications in my body, not even an aspirin for a headache. And that is on my medical record as well. And so what I want you to think of is the opportunity you have to live a healthy life, the opportunity you have to impact other people, but we have to set boundaries. And you have to consistently train for where it is you're going. Anybody ever heard of Mount Everest? Put a 2 in the chat if you've ever heard of Mount Everest. If Wendy, Thelma, Rachel, Kevin, and I decide we're going to climb Mount Everest next week, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen for none of us. You have to train in order to climb that mountain. And there's people that train for a year to 18 months just to get prepared for that climb. And some people die on the way up. But then you have a bunch of people that makes it to the summit, to the top, and they've arrived. But did you realize more people die coming down that mountain than they did going up the mountain? Because once they get there, they think they've done it and it's just going to be no. You have to travel as you go back down the mountain. You have to train for that mentally and physically. And you have to train to get right back down to the bottom of it. So what I'm telling you, when you get on top of something, do not get relaxed because the fall could be fatal as you're coming off of it. Every day, I had the pleasure of meeting Michael Jordan several times with Make-A-Wish Foundation. And so the beautiful thing about meeting this guy, when I told him, when Glenn and I was talking to him, the little boy was playing golf with him and had just a little bit to live. He asked Michael, what made you so great? And he talked about how he trained, but all these people that's in his organization, from massage therapists to chiropractors to dietitians to all kinds of wild people, about 100 people there, help him become who he is. And he said, when you got to your peak, when he did that, the highest scoring and all the championships they won, he said, when is enough enough? Is what Glenn, he said, never. I keep training to get even better. So for whatever that goal is right now, we train to hit it. That's not where you stop. That's not the end of life. That's just a mile marker you've hit. So you start to train a little bit to become a little bit better each single day, physically, mentally, financially, to build your team, to go to the next level. And you never stop training for this thing called life. Because every day you go after life, you start to live it on that level, you have to have boundaries. And so once you pray for whatever it is that you're after, you have to be engaged in it. And the night I remember, they gave me 6 months to live, and I was in this huge recliner that they had made for me. Michael Gonaville had it made because he worked with the private jet company, and they had to use airplane steel, and it would lift me up. And anyway, I remember the night in this house I'm in town. I said, God, if you let me live, I will never have another bad day. I want to come after life. And I've been coming after it for now 20 some years. And I'm not going to stop now. Just because I'm back to 10th grade high school, now we're going to really put the pressure on. We're going to train even harder because I want to get a little bit better. It's not because I want to get better, as I want to be that person to other people that you can do it too. I want to be that light or lend you my hope and my faith. This is all it takes to get there. But you got to make up your mind that's what you want. You want your prayers answered. Get engaged in the change that you've asked for. Train to go to the summit, up the mountain, but also train even harder as you come down the mountain so you don't slip and fall and hit the bottom in the way you shouldn't. And so therefore we set the boundaries. And some of us, I know like Kevin and I, we that freeborn kind of guys that they think they're going to boundary us up. We'll jump the fence and take off. And I know I've been running with Kevin for a long time, but even in a river has two banks. And if it floods, it gets outside of the bank, so it loses its boundaries. But in the boundaries of the river has more force. That's why they dam up. These dams are put the dams on these rivers where the force comes through to generate our electricity on some parts of here in North Carolina. And so when you set those boundaries, that is a guideline for us to go after what it is we want. And we hit those goals. Because if you don't have boundaries, you just get disillusioned. You get off your training spot. You get off your training course. And I was at a place the other day, well, not long ago, that they asked me to ask a blessing over the food. And all these guys are ministers. And I looked at the fried chicken and all the stuff it was over. And I said, I don't do that. I'm not asking a blessing over this. They said, why not? So I don't use God's name in vain. They said, wait a minute, you're confused. I said, oh, no, I'm not confused. Y'all confused. And the preachers that was at this little fellowship where my father's church is, they said, well, we don't understand. I said, well, all of you stand up. I said, every one of you is severely overweight. The majority of you are diabetics, and you're praying to ask God blessings over banana pudding, chocolate cake, Bojangles chicken, biscuits, and all the other stuff that had seed oils in it, the hormone disruptors. That's why you're diabetics. And they was not happy with me, Rachel. And then one of them challenged me, and I said, I'm doing this because I actually love you guys. I don't want nothing to happen to you like happened to my father. And I said, I've quit that stuff. I ain't saying I'm great or I'm not trying to brag. I got tired of feeling bad. I got tired of my wife and kids being scared if I was going to wake up or not. I got tired of my poor wife having to take care of me like an invalid. And so there's certain things that you just got to stop participating in. If you want to go to that next level, go to the summit and go to that next level of success. And therefore, when you start to do that, you will get a lot of people's attention, and they're going to continually watch your action. We don't lead with what we say. We lead with what we do. So therefore, when you journal tonight and you create your plan of action, which is a priority, and you get on your knees before bed, you do your devotions, and you ask God, this is what I would like to have in my life. The reason you journal is you put your plan of action together for you to engage in the change. And if you're going to climb Mount Everest, you have to train for it. If you're going to hit the diamond, the double diamond, and black diamond, if you're going to become the millionaire in your family, you've got to train for that. And therefore, it'll start to build your integrity, and it'll start to build your trust, and people will start to believe in you because it's you in action. It's not where you are right now. Are you honoring your word to yourself? And therefore, there's certain things we have to engage in more, and certain things we have to try to, I call it, ease out of your life. Some people can just go ahead and quit it. Don't get into the position I was in where it's either do or die. And that's not a good place to be when everybody has a chance now. So think of that river. The more you stay in your boundaries, the more you go after the change that you're after, the more you're going after your dreams, your visions, and your goals, you're going to become that force to be reckoned with. But you've got to have that boundaries or that tunnel vision as the river. I watched a river today called the Yadkin River where my granddaughter and I ride the horses up the Yadkin. And I saw how fast it was going down with the force it had because, why? It was in the boundaries of the banks. If the boundaries had been wider, the force wouldn't have been as big. And so when you make up your mind, I'm going to set the boundaries. I'm going to honor my word with my prayers. I'm going to get into action because I promise you, when you get into when you pray and you start that change that you've asked God for, that's all you're asking for you to change. And don't wait till he starts to change you with what happened to me. And when you start to change, you start to honor your word to yourself. You honor it to everybody else. But I promise you, God Almighty will start to pour blessings on you that you didn't even realize would even come to you. That's what's happened in my life. And so therefore, I did have to set some restrictions. I did have to set some boundaries. I do have to engage in certain things every day. I do have to honor my word to me, not just in talking to other people. That's a journaling I do. This is my plan of action, and I've got to get this done in this particular time frame by this time. And you know what happens when you do that? You begin to happen. Everything that you prayed for and asked God for will begin to materialize. and you start to become what? A new person. When you become that new person, you become more confident. You start to feel much better about who you are because you've honored your word for yourself. When you start to honor your word for yourself, you don't have any problem to honor to other people. So if you consistently tell yourself a lie, I'll do it tomorrow, but you don't do it tomorrow, you don't have any problem lying to anybody else. Therefore, you're not a person of honor. But when you hold yourself accountable to go to that next level, not only are you going to take care of the temple, they said God lives inside of us. So what kind of house you got God living in? Are you honoring the temple, or are you honoring the house he gave us? And so that's the first thing that hit me when I heard a couple ministers yesterday and today. I heard them talking about the first sin was was in basically in the kitchen, and and then when you pray, you're asking for change, but you have to be the one that engages in that change. And when that begins to happen, you'll be surprised. The simplicity of this Zoom will take you places you've never been. And all you got to do is have enough discipline. Write it. Once you write it on paper, you don't forget it. You have a guide to go by. I don't care what it is you want. Uh, what I've found in it as I travel and work with people around the world is the dreams aren't big enough. You're just talking a little bitty dream that you can barely get by. They don't take much what? Effort. It don't take much commitment. So I want you to start to dream very big. How do you want to be in a year from now? What do you want your children to say about you? In what direction do you want your kids to go or your grandchildren to go? They're going to do exactly what you do, not what you say do. So you can tell them anything you want to, but if you're not actually living it and doing it, they're going to follow your actions. And so therefore, when you set the pace and you set the tone, and if you need to change your physical activity, your financial situation, you need to change your diet, the whole deal. You start with small steps at the time, but every day you engage in it and you kind of grow into that. But be sure you're honoring your word to God as you honor your word into God, and that I'm becoming that change agent. And I got basically convicted over that. It's like, wow, every time I pray for my organization or my family, I got to be the guy spearheading it up. And I've got to lead by example through change. And when you start to do that, you're preparing to climb Mount Everest. But you're so conditioned at that point, going down Mount Everest won't be a problem. Because once you get to this level, why do you want to come down? You don't. You continually go to the next level, to the next level. Like Michael Jordan said, he said, I'm always reaching every day to get a little bit better, so I can help my team become better. I'm leading by example. And once you do that, and right now your team might just be your family. It might be some of your siblings or your friends. And you might have a few customers or a few reps coming in, but they're going to follow what you do, not what you say do. But when you understand the power of prayer, is you're becoming the change agent, but you have to be 100% involved in it and to making the conscious decisions that's going to take you from where you are to where you really believe you deserve to be. And you're going to start to attract the right people. See, where we're going right now, everybody cannot go. There's some people that's not willing to change or willing to make a lot of excuses, and they're willing to wait. The one of the most satanic rituals practiced in humanity is procrastination. And most people blame procrastination on my family. Well, I got to get my kids. And well, there's 24 hours in a day. If you have to get up 2 hours early or go to bed 2 hours late to get your stuff done, that's where the discipline comes in. And that's the impact you're going to have on the people that's most important to you. And when you become the real CEO of your life, you start to treat you differently with utmost respect, but with utmost discipline. And you set those boundaries because you're so focused on where you're going to go physically, financially, family, everything that's important to you. Now you're investing in the importance of your future. And once you invest in the importance of your future, you don't I don't do the weekend warrior stuff. Like, let's all go out to eat on Friday night and have some drinks. Well, one, I don't drink. Number two, no, I'm not going there. I'm not going to be tempted by the stuff I used to engage. I'm not doing that. And I'm always got something going on and I'm just too busy for it. Not I'm too busy for my friends or whatever. But there again, some people want to distract you away from what it is you want. And Become a person that can't be distracted off of what it is that you really want in life. Because I don't know if we'll live till tomorrow. I don't. We've had a death this week in our family. It looks like we might end up having another one this week, believe it or not. And it's all because they didn't take care of them. They've had every opportunity in the world to do it, but they didn't. They went home and sat down in the recliner and started to decline. Why they call it recliner? So they put you in a position to decline, so you don't live long after that. And so, but there's not one person on this Zoom or one person you'll send it to that if they start creating a little bit of discipline and respect in their own life and start to honor their prayer and become the change agent, that's exactly how change starts to happen in your life. Number one, you can't outgive God. He owns it all anyway. If that last breath you just took, that I took, that was a blessing from Him as well. Are you taking the breath into a healthy body, or one is just trying to fight and exist? Well, right now, according to my blood markers, it's a pretty healthy body. I asked my wife, I said, how does that make you feel that I'm 4 decades reverse aging on the inside? And I know the years say I'm older than you, but do you feel weird at all? Ladies, that is not a really great subject for my wife. She said, I don't know what's wrong with you. I said, don't make me call Mark and have to get some knot remover made where I can put it on my head, where I call one of y'all crying, where she's done hit me in the head with a broom or something. But anyway, I love to have fun. If they ever tell you you're going to die, your sense of humor becomes crazy and you always come up with crazy stuff. But I hope this helps you tonight by setting the boundaries. And every one of us need to set boundaries. And if you conquer those particular goals and through those boundaries, you set a little bit more and a little bit more. Never get enough your entire life. It doesn't matter what your age is, how old we are, or how young we are. If you want to go somewhere you've never been, you're going to have to do something you've never done. Talking is not inaction. It's the physical inaction, not talking about it. You got to be about it. Tonight, I don't know what your prayers are going to be, but mine's going to be repentant. God, I'm sorry. I didn't follow through. And just please forgive me, because in the morning it's a new day and I've already got my plan of action written for in the morning. And I want to abide by what I asked my Savior for. And therefore, I promise you, when He starts to bless you, it's a whole nother level of blessings. And that means everything that you're involved in your life will start to materialize in the exact manner you prayed for it, as long as you're willing to get engaged for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to condition for the very best, because there's things coming that's just mind-boggling to me, that is going to put you in a position to win on that next level. And nobody in our industry has the stuff that we have to tell me exactly what I need. Not just take all it. No, this is all you need right here. This is it. And when you can have that pinpoint accuracy, it's pretty amazing how things begin to change. So, anybody got anything to add, Kevin?
No, brother, I can't follow that up. You did a great job. I appreciate the inspiration.
Well, absolutely. Rachel, you got anything to add, sweetheart?
I did. I jotted a couple of things down today because I was so excited about the team huddle tonight. And I love how you're talking about shifting our prayers. When I started this business, I was sitting in the parking lot crying, going, God, I don't know how I'm going to pay for groceries. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like, have somebody tap on my window and give me $100 to pay for groceries because my kids have to eat. I didn't know which kid was going to eat, if it was going to get ground beef for the older kids or formula for the younger baby. And so I was going, just anything, whatever. I don't even know, because I'm working every hour that I can work. And one day I got super mad at God. Like, you can do this. And it wasn't until I said, if you're not going to do it, show me how. I found this business the same day. And it's amazing to me that I can see now how silly I was for thinking it was any other way, because I was treating God like a genie. I wasn't treating Him like my Lord and Savior. And I love that He acted so fast the minute I got out of the way. And so the things that I jotted down was just a perspective shift, because maybe we, we hear boundaries so much and perspective, and we just got to switch it, but maybe we don't know how. And so here are some things that have helped me. And I wrote them down. Okay, so listen, guys, it's so cool. Perspective isn't what you see. Or it's how you see it. So two people can have the same situation happen and see it completely different. But that's your power. Your perspective is your power. But maybe you're looking at it the wrong way. Instead of looking at it and saying, man, this is going to happen, say, okay, this is what I see, but maybe it works in a different way. I don't know everything. Like, maybe we can just change the word from this is happening like this to yet, right? I haven't seen it different yet. I don't know how it could be any other way yet. It hasn't happened yet. Okay. There's a lot of ways that you can just change that word, just add that one word in there, and it does something in your mind. Instead of seeing the situation one way and stopping because you can't see it any other way, it allows you to see a situation the way you see it and still keep going, because your mind goes, yeah, that means there might be an answer out there. Your mind is a powerful thing, and you don't even know it until you start to practice it, until you start to catch the ways that you are saying something or doing something or perceiving something. It's your perspective, but you can't even see that it's wrong because that's what you see. Your brain won't let you see anything different. And so just adding the word yet lets your brain look for another answer. But you can't look for another answer until you add that word. And all of a sudden, your brain, it's called the reticular activative system, right? Your brain is wired to only let you see what you have experienced to see. See, if I tell you to go outside and find all the red hats, you're going to come back in with an answer of how many red hats you found. But what if I ask you, okay, great, how many yellow hats were there? You can't even answer that, because your brain is designed to only find the answers that your perspective shows it. So add the word yet. And so some of the common misperceptions that I see is people won't buy from me. Here's how you shift it. And I'll put these in the chat also so that you have them. But they haven't bought from me yet because trust is still growing. I don't want to bother people. I'm offering solutions people are already paying for. Think about the gym, think about the food, think about the doctors, think about the surgery, think about the nutritionist. People are already paying for these things. You're not forcing anyone to buy, you're offering something. They get to choose whether or not they buy. And you determining whether or not they're going to buy ahead of time is you playing God in that situation. I'm not good at selling. Okay, first of all, we're going to change that to sharing, because as Rusty has taught us, we're not salespeople. We're shares people, right? If you're not using the product that you're sharing, then what are you doing? Use the product you share, right? Pick a product that you already have results in and use that. Talk about that. Maybe you're so used to seeing sales, posts for burn or for slimmer or for coffee, but you don't use those products. Maybe you use the greens. So talk about your results. That way you can share what you're using, not just selling to people who you don't know anything about. Okay. You don't have the results to prove that. So your brain's already, if you're not comfortable with it, it's already going, this doesn't feel right. This isn't me. But second of all, I also want to, how many times have you been in a workplace and somebody's been like, oh my gosh, where'd you get that coffee? You had no problem with saying it's a Starbucks or it's a Dunkin' or I got it from Seven Brew or whatever the case may be. But we're so worried about saying it works, I sell it because we're sharing it wrong. So when somebody asks, where'd you get your coffee? All you have to say is, oh, it gives me health as well. And then let them ask questions. Just stop speaking. If they're interested in losing weight or gaining health, then they'll ask more questions. You don't have to sell it at all. Or you can say, oh, it actually pays for my daughter's ballet. This is what brought me home. You don't have to say anything about money or you sell or you're oversharing. All you have to say is what it does for you in your life. And then the only reason that you're having a problem when somebody says, hey, what's that? And you're like, oh, it works. But you didn't say it's just Starbucks. Oh, it's just Dunkin'. You're thinking about the money. You're thinking too much about what you get from that interaction instead of how you can help them. Because our products really are amazing. And if they're not interested, remember, your brain can only let you hear and let you see what you are already looking for. So if you say, oh, it's for my health, and they're not looking to improve their health, they'll say, okay, thanks. Oh, okay. They won't ask any more questions. And then you don't have to forcibly share it with anybody. So it's just a perspective shift. And then I thought this one was so cool. Instead of saying, oh, I have to go post, say, I have to go plant a seed. Because that's really what we're doing. When we talk to somebody, when we post, when we do a reel, when we do a live, when we do a training, no matter what it is that we do, send a message. I love you, but no matter what we're doing we're planting a seed. Instead of engagement, I need to go, put some engagement up. Say, I need to go make a connection. Instead of, I need to get a customer, I need to have more conversations. And instead of, I hope this works, I believe this is working. Like these are just some simple shifts that we can make in our mind going, wait, let's catch what we're saying, because half the time it's not the real battle that we need to be fighting, whatever we say or whatever we perceive, whatever we see. It's not the only way. There's not only one right answer. There's not only one way to get there. Rusty doesn't have every single answer in the world. I don't have every single answer in the world. Maybe the world is waiting on a Kevin. Maybe the world is waiting on a Thelma. Maybe the world is waiting on a Jamie. It's just perspective and how we're looking at it. So we get to choose how we look at it. And that perspective is within our power. And I'm not talking about taking power from, God or anything else. I'm just talking about being in control of our own thoughts. See, the Bible tells us to take every thought captive. See, we get to hold that. That is in our power. And so I love that. I love taking the perspective and just making it go, oh, wait, that's what I see. But maybe that's not the end of the story. I may not know all the answers. Another thing that I do, and I'll close with this, is every time I say, I can't do that, or I'm not, or it never, or something crazy comes out of my mouth, I go, wait a second. And I picture myself as a toddler screaming, it never goes my way. It never works. And I go, oh, wait a second. Okay, I just saw my kid do that. Got it. And what did I say to my kid? Never? What do you mean it never works? What you really mean is it hasn't worked yet. And I get to catch myself And it's just a silly little way to say, "Oh, wait, that sounded like a toddler. That sounded like a tantrum. Wow. Okay. Let me just scream that out." And it really makes me laugh and think, "Oh, maybe I don't have all the answers yet. Maybe I need to look a little bit deeper."
Wow, I love it. So I want to challenge all of you. Since you brought the coffee up, y'all know my favorite coffee first thing in the morning is Skinny Brew. So one thing I get a lot of conversation on with my Skinny Brew, and I do it on some of my life more. If I've got most time when I'm going back through the horse country, I've done drink my Skinny Brew before I get there. But if I still got it, I say, here's my fat burning coffee. If you drinking, you shrinking. If you ain't drinking, you ain't shrinking. And that gets me more people ask me about that shrinking coffee. And I'll tell you what, there's absolutely no way you can drink Skinny Brew for 7 days and not shrink. It lights up your metabolism in the morning. It burns fat. It's great for your liver. All kinds of wild stuff that coffee is great for. I mean, the 1 cup in the morning. I don't drink any after that, but that sure gets a lot of people's attention because everybody wants to what? Enjoy, drink, and shrink. And if it's Skinny Brew, there's ain't no way you can drink that coffee, and you make it like you want it. I just like black coffee. I'm like my great grandfather. On our farm, we had kind of chicory coffee back on the mountains, way back in the early '60s, and he'd pour just old black coffee, and that's where I learned to drink. I enjoy the taste of just old black coffee. Anybody else got anything?
Yes, I actually wanted to add in after listening to y'all, just to tell you pretty much how God is moving through this entire week. I'm going to share some of the notes and I'm going to post them into the group chat as well so that everyone else can see it. But listening to you, Rusty, and to you, Rachel, tonight brought me back to Sunday's sermon. And in the notes, it was whatever you have now, God wants to give you more. Righteousness is the key. If you earnestly seek Him, your past does not matter. It was based off of holy fire and strange fire. Holy fire, your heart is in the right place. It will burn up every curse, doubt, um, versus strange fire will burn up every blessing you get. When you seek Him in holy fire, even your enemies will seek the Lord. They will want what you have. I'm going to skip some here. I can give this to God in honor of you and bless your name, or I can give this to somebody and be cursing your name. Do not play with strange fire because distraction will lead to burning all your hard work down. And those are just some of the key factors that I pinpointed in this. But if God isn't speaking, I don't know what to say there.
Absolutely. Well, when you ask him for something, he's going to deliver it every time. And it might take
Amen.
a week or it might take him a month. But what he's doing and what people fail to see is they don't get into the activity of change. You have to literally want to change. And then when I started changing, the blessings started coming not in wheelbarrow or bucket loads, dump truck loads. And because he knows at that point you're serious about it and he can trust you with more. And more
Yes.
is not for us to hoard up or whatever. The law of reciprocity states in the scriptures, if I come into your life and I help make some of consequence happen, the blessing just reciprocates back to me, but it has to continually flow through you. The more it flows through you, the more it comes, the more he can trust you with, and the more good you can do with the blessings. If you don't plan on doing any good with the blessings, they're not coming. And if you do get them, they'll be short-lived. You don't know what to do with them because you're not mature enough to handle the stuff that God can throw on you. And most people try to tell other people how successful they are. And it don't take them about a year and a half, they get broke. And you're trying to be poor boy or poor girl rich or whatever. And just once it starts happening, live modest. You don't have to prove nothing to nobody. And once you start to do that, it's kind of like that river. If it floods, there's water everywhere. But when it's confined into the banks, the momentum of that blessing it has boundaries, and the momentum is coming so strong, it just creates a big old circle, and then the blessings keep coming. But anybody can spew and have it everywhere. That means it's not going nowhere. It's not moving. It's stagnant. But as long as it keeps moving, it's fresh. And therefore, if you set more boundaries on you than anybody else can and expect more out of yourself, you'll become the real CEOs of your life. And far as success, I don't know what success is to you, but it'll be so abundant that you cannot. You'll have plenty to go around, and you'll be able to be frugal with it and be smart with it, and therefore you don't have to prove anything to anyone. And I can tell you, when you do good for others, the feeling you have when you go to sleep that you've gave it the best of you to your family, to whatever is important that God's laid on your heart, when you give them the best of you, you don't have to worry about just giving them what's left of you. That's why most people live. They just give what's left of your energy, whatever the day for your family, this, that, and the other. And instead of getting the boundary set, training for the dream you're going for. If you're not training for the dream ain't gonna materialize. I don't care what you think you got going on. It just don't. And the number one thing that God is looking at, I believe right now, is how well we take care of the temple, your physical well-being. And I'm very proud of our organization, is everybody's out there and they're coming after it. They're making gains every single day. When you make a mental gain, the physical gain follows. And it goes right in there. And it creates the momentum, and the momentum of what? The boundaries that you set for your life. Now you're showing up with force, and that creates the integrity and the trust that other people are going to have in you. And you might have been doing something for 6 or 8 years or whatever. I got people just now showing up, and they've been following us for 15 years. Like, well, it's about time. But no, you just show up every single day, and that's what creates the trust. Because there's so much stuff out there now. Everybody's trying to sell you a system, a course, or something. I'm just looking for products that really work. I already got those, and I don't mind sharing my story. Anybody else got anything before me and Kevin go to bed as old guys? Well, look, I appreciate you guys being on. Rachel, whenever you can get these in the both the chats, I'd appreciate it. Jamie, thank you for the input. That was just real special. Thank you so much. Guys, I love you. You matter to me. And until tomorrow, may this the best night you've ever had, but don't go to bed without creating a priority plan of action. If it ain't but 2 or 3 things you must get done tomorrow, start training like you're already a billionaire, because it's on the way. Good night, everyone.
This was
Good night.
good. Good night.
Good night.